Welcome to the Cinema Twins spoiler review of Split. Spoilers ahead, so if you have not seen Split, do not watch this video. We have a spoiler-free review. Go check that one out first, and then come back here. All right, here we go.
Huge apologies to our producer, Nick, who has not seen it yet.
Yeah, sorry, Nick. We feel really bad, but
he's very sad.
But we're gonna spoil this movie for him. So anyone other than Nick, don't watch this if you haven't seen it. Now, you know what the movie's about if you're here. So skip the synopsis. Let's get right into it. The ending, we're gonna just put on out there. It is a sequel to Unbreakable, which makes me kind of sad because I know one I know has seen Unbreakable, just because it did come out a long time ago, and we're only 20 years old, we're in college, not that many, I just don't know a ton of people who've seen the movie. My friend that I saw the movie with got it, so that was fun, like we had that experience together, but other people that I have talked to about the movie, they were like, yeah, Split was so cool, I loved it, and I was like, did you get the ending? And they were like, what?
Come again? Mr. Glass, huh?
Yeah. And so, but this changed my feelings on the movie completely, because it put you in a different world, the world of superheroes. And I loved what M. Night Shyamalan did with Unbreakable, where he showed you a superhero origin story without you knowing it, and then he did it again. He showed you a supervillain origin story without you knowing it.
I thought it was brilliant that this ended up connecting to Unbreakable. The whole movie, I was so pumped for it. The whole time I was like getting more and more into the story, getting more into Anya Taylor-Joy's character. I was like, yes, yes, yes. And then the more supernatural, outlandish stuff started happening, and I was like, this is not going the way I want it to. I was like, ugh. And then I was so angry at the end. Other than the fact that, like, I thought that, because with Anya Taylor-Joy at the end, he sees all the scars on her, and he was like, oh, okay, you've been hurt. Because the whole thing is like, oh, he can only eat like unpure souls, pure souls, who like haven't experienced anguish pretty much, and so he sees like all these scars, and I thought that at the end, I thought it was gonna follow her home and like have her kind of like kill the uncle. That's what I thought.
I think if it's in...
however, I would like to say, to your point, that not a whole lot of people would understand it. I was the only person in my theater that understood. I was sitting there, I saw it with my boyfriend, and I was talking about the roller coaster of emotions in the spoiler-free review, and I was like, leaning over like, this isn't going the way I want it to. I'm very upset right now. I loved it so much, and now I'm not loving it. And then when it ended, I was like, ow. That's what I did the whole time. I was like, Danny,
Danny, don't actually hit me.
I freaked out. And everybody in the theater was probably like, man, she's a huge Bruce Willis fan. Like, whoa. And I was like, this changes everything. I was like, Davey, do you know what this means? And he goes, so it didn't end badly? And I was like, no, it's perfect.
And in my theater, personally, there were 4 total people in my theater. Woo!
There was actually a good number.
Me and my friend, it took me a minute to get to go see it, but me and my friend who saw it, we understood, and then the 2 guys behind us were like, whoa, it's a sequel to Unbreakable, so they got it. So yeah, but there wasn't huge reaction because there were only 4 of us. But
there was a huge reaction from me. I think that I reacted enough for everyone in my theater.
Yeah, well, and the reason that I was so happy with the ending was because before that, it wasn't that I was upset that it went in a supernatural route. Like, I was like, okay, this is an odd choice, but I'm with it. It was that I knew it was going there because of the trailer, which I was not happy with. I was mad that I knew that this beast thing was going to happen because in the trailer he talks about it, and I was upset with that. But then the ending happened, and I was like, okay, forgiven, because now it made more sense that it was in that world and that there are these people who can do these things, and we already knew that because the world had been set up.
Exactly.
And that's what Unbreakable did, was it set up this world for this movie to be able to go into it just straight without any of that setup.
And see, that's why I was so upset at the beginning, like when I first realized that it was going that route. I was like, this has been really like pretty realistic so far, other than the DID stuff. Like this has been relatively like grounded down to the earth, you know. And then all this supernatural stuff starts happening. I was like, they didn't set this up well. I was like, this was an odd choice.
They did,
but
in
they
a different
did.
movie.
And so I was trying to explain that to my boyfriend. I was like, no, you don't understand. Like the screenplay completely flipped it on its head. Like it changed the world. And he was like, I don't understand what you mean. And I was like, it's just
World setting is very important in films,
Exactly.
and this one did it right because it had a film previously that already set up that world. And just having that in the same universe honestly changed everything. Now, for the film as like standalone by itself, so many interesting things that we can talk about. Specifically, the most compelling twists and turns to me were Anya Taylor-Joy's character. I saw what was going to happen kind of as it got closer to that revelation. But,
oh, dude, but when it
man,
hit,
and with her uncle and what he did to her when she was young, and then the realization that she lives with him now, it takes you back to the beginning of the movie, and you know exactly why she is the way she is, and why she's this kind of outcast, and why she gets in trouble at school because she doesn't want
to go home.
She doesn't want to go home. She doesn't want to be around people. She doesn't. And I liked how the film took that horrible thing that happened to her and is continuing to happen to her and kind of made it her strength.
It did.
And showed her survival strength. And like she knew how to kind of be cunning and survive because of these horrible things that had happened to her. And you know, it just kind of, to me, I took that as a message being like, you know, stay strong.
No matter what happens to you, you will get through it. It will make you stronger. And I think that was a really beautiful message that is completely being overlooked in this film. Partly because everybody's like, oh my gosh, unbreakable twist. But at the same time, it's just...
That and if you did watch our spoiler-free review, we said that we would talk more about the controversy with the mental illness and how it's portrayed in this film. And so, like, to go into that, the reason, like, the controversy that's going around in this movie is ridiculous to me because of the ending. Because it's not a realistic world. This man turned into this horrible beast-like creature and has these abilities because people like that exist in this superhero world.
And it's exactly like with Mr. Glass. Like Mr. Glass, that's a real disease where you have brittle bones and stuff. That's a real disease, but it's not to the extent.
He was a supervillain type guy.
Exactly, and nobody's like, oh, it's making people who have this brittle bone disease into villains. Like it's taking something in the real world and twisting it. And I think that's what good movies do. That's what good sci-fi movies or like supernatural movies should do.
And it's just showing like in that type of it's setting up rules for this world. And it's saying in that type of a world, if your brain can do these specific things, it could also take you to these specific places. And I think that that's a really interesting concept. That's an awesome concept. I watched some interviews with M. Night Shyamalan, and he talked about how he had this character for Unbreakable and he couldn't figure out how to work it into the script. And so I'm so glad he held on to it because it made such a great movie. And kudos to the studio for not representing this as an Unbreakable sequel because that would have been really easy to do. It would have made people go watch Unbreakable as well. I think that it was really awesome that this was kept a secret. Because I had no idea, and it took me a while to see it, and I had no clue.
Me too, and it takes me back to when we saw Psycho in theaters on Halloween.
Yeah.
Or like, it was like the days, something like that. It was around Halloween. And there was this
I'm not going to liken this to Psycho.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Let me finish. So when we saw Psycho, before the movie started, there was this little clip that was talking about when Psycho first came out in theaters and how Alfred Hitchcock told them to lock the doors and not let anyone in after or not lock the doors because you can't lock the doors in the theater, but like not let anyone in after the movie had started because it was so important for him to
and at
shield everything.
Yeah, and at that time, people would just come in halfway through a movie and then just stay until they got to the point where they came in. Like, that was common at that time when Psycho came out. Now, Alfred Hitchcock said no.
and he had a message that was like, don't tell your friends, just tell them to come see it, let them experience it for themselves. And we don't get stuff like that often anymore. Like this with The Woods that just came out, The Woods, but it was the Blair Witch movie. Nobody knew. That was insane.
That was exciting. That was before the movie came out. They revealed it. This was
in the theaters. People were freaking out, which I just... Being able to sit down and having no idea and just experience that was awesome because in our age, in the age of technology and social media, we don't get a lot of surprises like that anymore. And it made me very happy. And I couldn't stop smiling when I was walking out of the theater just knowing that I had been a part of this.
Yeah, I was going to say, this one is one that like you'll look back on later and be like, yeah, I was there in the theater when I experienced this like twist. And so that was super fun. It was very exciting to get to experience that in the theater. And I'm excited to go further into this world because M. Night Shyamalan has said that he wants to make a third one. However,
do you think that the third one is going to be
Bruce
Willis fighting James McAvoy? That would be awesome because they're both like so tough, you know?
Yeah, they are. And however, I did see that he says he wants to make it a standalone as well because he says Unbreakable stands by itself, Split stands by itself. So he wants the third one to stand by itself. However, I would like to see those two characters
I could see that, but I think that we need to see them face off.
It
set it up for that.
Yeah,
I think we need to see that.
I want to see them face off, and I also want to learn more about Anya Taylor-Joy's character. I want to see what happens with her uncle because, like, you saw her face whenever, at the end, whenever the cop says, like, your uncle's here, and she's just like she does not want to go back. And so I feel like that's not just how it was going to end. Like, I feel like we should see more of her in the next one.
And just talk about, not like you said, like, not even just the ending. There's so much more to talk about with this movie as a whole. Like, as when they first realized that, like, oh my goodness, that something's wrong with this guy, like, that he's a little crazy.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're already in that situation, they were already kidnapped, and then all of a sudden, this man starts acting like this, and they have no idea what's going on.
Yeah.
And I thought that they portrayed that really well, and I think that most of all, the kind of the twists and turns that it took along the way of them trying to get out, I thought it was very interesting, and how they would like pick one another, like it would like kind of pick one another out at the time and then separated all of them. I thought that was really smart to put Anya Taylor-Joy by herself in that room. You know what I mean? And I liked seeing her kind of try to trick Hedwig into like, and just that sheer
she had the chance
on
to
her face.
And she had the chance to be cunning without being held back by these other two who were kind of like, no, we should just try to fight him. So I liked the other two characters though. Like I liked that you just didn't hate them.
Yeah.
Like you weren't, I wasn't annoyed by them at all in any way.
I was pretty bummed when I saw that one getting her stomach eaten out.
Yeah. I was also really bummed that the therapist died.
Oh, but that reveal, like, say his name, like, that was awesome.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
The fact that, you know, his name is the thing that brings it, and, like, I loved her compassion with him and her willingness to work with him. Like, she was like, you know, I could do this and say your name and bring it, and, like, and bring this back, but I'm not going to do that to you because I know that that's very confusing and, like, hurts you. But, gosh, and James McAvoy's acting whenever she does say his full name and he comes back and is just like, what year is it? Mm-hmm. And he's like, it's 2014, right? And so upsetting, and it really hits you with the sympathy for this character. And I will say that is something that is good to have for a supervillain. Is they want to be.
They have layers.
Yeah,
this guy has 24 layers apparently.
They can't be one-dimensional. You want a supervillain to that's people's biggest problems with Marvel's villains is that they're so boring.
Exactly, and
they're just one note, and so
I think this was the perfect time for this movie to come out, even though it has been so long since Unbreakable. This is as much as people want to call Batman, the Dark Knight trilogy, the gritty, realistic, I think this is as realistic as you're gonna get in a superhero movie. I think it's so clever to ground it in reality like that, and then just to tweak it a little bit. I love it. I love this series so much. I still can't express how much I freaked out and to the testament of how strong that ending was, we haven't seen Unbreakable in years.
Yeah.
But just to see David Dunn again, and he's like, Mr. Glass, it was just such a great ending with that pan in.
And it immediately changes everything, and I can't wait to see more in this world. Yeah, super awesome movie. We loved Split, so if you haven't seen it,
please check it out.
Shouldn't have watched this, but
yeah,
go watch it anyway. But thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.